Be here and everything. Hello and welcome to Raw. My name is Margaret and we're going to be talking about mental health and all sorts of things on the show. But today we're going to hone in on dealing with change, and we've got some great tips for you. So right here next to me, I've got Mike Haines, and I've got Mike on the show today. Thanks for joining us. Lovely to see your smiling face.
You too, Margaret.
Thank you. We've got Mike on the show today because Mike has dealt with a really significant and what I would think is a pretty stressful change that happened to his business. And we're going to have a chat about that. And Mike's going to tell us how he coped with that change. And then we're going to have a bit of a look at a few tips, and hopefully you'll take away some good ones for today. So then over to you, Mike. Tell us a little bit about the business and then what happened.
Yeah, so we purchased a food business back in 2009, and it was really very, very small. We built it up organically over the years. It was chugging along really nicely in 2016, 2017, and we delivered mainly to seniors. And the government, in a fairly short period of time, changed the whole way that seniors' provisions were funded, which had a serious impact on us. And all of the care organizations, or certainly the majority of them that had always referred clients to us, this way that this thing worked meant that they actually became competitors. And they started to try to cook for people in their own homes. And we lost 30% of our revenue in about 6 weeks.
Wowzers. So 30% of revenue lost in 6 weeks because of an external change, because of a government change, like something completely flung upon you.
Nothing we could do about it, really. Only in hindsight to have been aware of it coming, which we weren't. We just didn't have our ear to the ground.
Yeah. So that must have been pretty stressful. How did you feel?
Well, the first thing I guess that I would say is that I'm the type of person that likes to take responsibility for things. I always believe that when you point the finger at somebody, there's 3 pointing back at yourself. So it would have been very easy to just throw everything up in the air and say, bloody government, basically, they changed things on us and we're just going to have to find something else to do. But that's just not how we worked. And I looked back on previous situations where similar things had happened in other businesses and just remembered how I coped with that situation. So, some sort of practical things, like I spent a lot of time discussing options with my wife, Dawn, who was my business partner. And that was a real nice way of sort of having an outlet. Yeah. And we introduced a new range of product and started to sell to a new market. So.
Wowzers. So that's a really great story. That's a really great, I think, illustration of how you approach it. So you had a change flung upon your business that was negative, that had a huge impact on your business. You had no say in it. So instead of throwing up your hands, you thought, what can we do about it? You could have said the government is horrible and blame.
Mm-hmm.
But you took a deep breath and thought we've been in tight situations, sticky situations before, and we've worked our way through it. And so previous experience gave you confidence to move forward. And then got cracking and did some practical things to turn that around.
Absolutely. And the other thing was, Dawn, we both had significant belief in the product and service. We'd been doing it for a large number of years already. And Dawn in particular knew that things would eventually come back to us tenfold, which is actually exactly what happened. But
Yeah.
you just got to hang on in there sometimes and really believe in the value that you're adding to people's lives by your product and services. And that
Yes.
certainly got us through that. So
Yes. Remember why you started and keep going and remembering your why is really important.
exactly.
And I think, and having a really strong purpose in your business is often your, I guess, your compass. And when you refocus on that, just cause something, part of your business changed, because of that legislation, your compass still kept you going.
Absolutely,
I think that's such a valuable story. I've actually got a couple of tips here listed out, which are kind of generic. And I thought we'd go through them. And Mike, I'd really appreciate your comments about, in a practical situation, and like the one you experienced, where there's some here that maybe you honed in on as well. So I might just read them out if people can't see them properly. So first one, accept and expect change as part of life and part of business.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, it's going to sneak up on you and destroy you.
Yeah. The second one there, rebalance physically. So a lot of advice around, particularly, and this is connecting into that stress thing about looking after your own physical and mental health. So, paying some attention to your exercise and your food and your sleep, and making sure that you're not, as a stress relief, eating the wrong foods, drinking too much alcohol, reverting into like letting your exercise regime go and staying up too late because you're stressing or whatever. So rebalancing so that you can calmly address issues is often that some people find useful. Accept feelings and focus on managing through. It sounds to me like that's a bit what you did.
Yeah. I think, you just have to look at the situation and try and be objective about it. And you'll see that the evidence is kind of like stacked in your favor if you look hard enough.
That's good. Yeah. Accept the past, move on and fight for the future. Yeah, we can get stuck in the past sometimes, can't we?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say is that you do look backwards so that you can move forwards in some cases, but you can't look backwards and think about how things were and, spend too much time on that. You just need to learn from that and let that learning move you forwards.
Yeah. And that fighting for the future, like you said, get up and find new ways to meet your goals instead of lamenting the past.
Absolutely. And, look, it's sort of like, we definitely did that and we've sold that business now. And that situation turned around massively in our favor. So that was really good.
Yeah. I also really like how you said you had your business partner and wife to talk to. And I think sometimes when change or adversity comes upon people, sometimes they'll withdraw. And that can be the worst thing that you do, because reaching out and talking to other people is often an avenue to finding your way through. And it sounds like you and Dawn did that together.
Yeah, definitely. And that's like something that doesn't come easily sometimes, because you can blame yourself. You can think that you haven't seen things coming, and it's almost a little admission of error, I suppose. So, but that was really important.
Yeah. Now that next one there is live by your values, not by your fears, because that often happens. We can be reactionary to our fears, our fears that now we're going to lose our business. And so then you start paring it back and start closing it down, that sort of thing. But if we were driven by our values and the purpose of our business, that's the kind of stuff that can give you the momentum to work through. I really like that one. I like to focus on that and try and acknowledge and push my fears to the side. And that last one, find humor in the situation. Did you do that?
Yeah, I guess we kind of did. Yeah, but you know, it's not an easy thing to do. You're just looking at the whole sort of ridiculousness of the situation, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, having a bit of a laugh. I guess, take our businesses seriously, but we don't want to take ourselves too seriously sometimes. That can take us through.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
so, Mike, that's really valuable. I hope that people who tuned in today are getting some good tips from you, because I think I've gotten some good tips from you today. That's been really super helpful. And
That's
I think
awesome.
and I think your story is a really good case study for small businesses, and how something that's beyond your control can come out of left field and have an effect on your business that has a very detrimental effect. And it can feel like, oh my God, that's so unfair, and we can stamp our feet and really get caught up in that kind of victim blaming kind of mentality. But what we really need to do is step back and accept that change can happen,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and take on board some of your tips.
And
So
and probably the one thing that I would do differently if I was in
yeah,
that situation again is just be very mindful about keeping your ear to the ground. You know, grab the seniors magazines, be on the email list for all the organisations, because it was all there, all the evidence there that
oh,
was there that it was
yeah,
coming, but I
yeah.
was just too busy being busy doing
Oh,
other things rather than looking out for it. So
yeah, wowzers. So that's a really good one, being attuned to what's going on in the industry and what's impacting.
yeah, completely
And
missed it until it
yeah,
arrived and people
yeah,
stopped
right.
using it.
Yeah. So sometimes that's why I guess networking with like-minded businesses, or some in a similar field, can be really, really helpful to stay on top of those sorts of
Well,
regulatory change.
some of the customers actually said to me, you know, it's all in the seniors, Mike. You know, it's been in the seniors magazine, Mike, for the past 6 months that all this change is coming. Like, do you not read that?
Yeah, wowzers. Yeah, that's a real learning. Mike, thank you. I love
You're
talking to
welcome.
you today. I've got some really good tips, and I'll just put that up again. I hope that people tuning in today have really, gotten a lot out of your story and our tips today. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.
No
Next
worries.
time we meet, for people who might be tuning in to Raw and Raw next time, on a Thursday at midday, I'm going to be talking about resilience, and I'm going to be giving you some tips on what it is, what it isn't, and how you can get more of it in your life. So thanks, Mike, for coming in. Much appreciated.
Thank you for
And
having me on the show.
it's a pleasure. Always good to
Oh,
see your happy face. All right. Thanks.
all right.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.